Hello, and welcome to another episode of Comprehending Consciousness. My name is Allie with amariespeaks.com, and I have created this little series as a hope to bridge the gap between people waking up in the 3D sort of matrix and those who have been awake for a while and who have been sort of skirting the exterior and building this new 5D sort of world that is hopefully going to see all of humanity transition into at some point, right? If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is episode 21, and I'm going to be talking about the law of attraction. If you are new and you haven't seen any other episodes in this series, I highly suggest checking them out. I've already done 20 already, and they skirt across topics and phrases that maybe you've also heard of other than the law of attraction, like red pilled, woke, asleep. There's just, there's so many. So feel free to check those out after. I sort of made them in a sequential flow, but not really. You're free to click on a term if it sparks curiosity and just watch that video. I really wanted to make them quick and informational, sort of like a little educational video, I guess, a tour of the iceberg, right? To just show that surface level of the term or phrase and sort of maybe clear the ground across some of like the more like mainstream confusion, and then offer to you space and time later to go and do your own deep dive, right? To go do your investigating, to figure out those intricate nuances of what the term means to you. Because so many of these phrases, are iceberg terms. Like I said, they seem really cut and dry and small and, flaky from a quick glance, or especially from sort of the more mainstream perspective, or a less awakened or less spiritual perspective maybe. But what I hope to do, right, is to pull back the layers, to introduce deeper thinking and sorting, I guess, for you, right? So that you can be exposed to the depth and then do your own searching and figure out if it's worth it or not, right? If it's truly deep and something that will be incorporated into your life, or if it's something that you still feel is frivolous and you want to cast off to the side or not use or not incorporate, right? But like I said at the start, these little phrases are really for people to bridge the gap, to see, that there is more than the superficial layer that we see, the makeup face that is sort of portrayed to us. And I will say probably intentionally or on purpose, by the negative agenda that sort of orchestrates the collective reflection, right? I think it doesn't take a genius these days to know the orchestration that's taking place in the exterior world has a team of people who are highly dedicated to rearranging the scenery to try to get us to keep going on with the play and be fully embodied in it, right? But for those of us who are waking up and who really don't want to be a part of that or don't care to watch that show anymore, we have a whole other offerings, new space, freedom to associate, right? To make new opportunities in areas that feel comfortable and good to us. And that's really what this whole like ascension, 5D, getting off grid, back to the old ways, whatever you want to see it, this sort of new transition that's happening, that's sort of what we mean when we say 5D. Getting back to nature, the organic human, truth, and sovereign life, respected spiritual connection to this life, right? And so for episode 21 here, I'm going to talk quickly and give a little introduction and hopefully just clear the air about some kind of misconceptions that I feel are really blatant around the law of attraction. So maybe you have seen people talking about LOA, or you have seen them tagging it, or manifesting things, or, bragging about all of these wonderful things that they've brought into their life using the law of attraction, or you could, have seen... there's just so many people talking about it these days that it's hard to I don't want to pin famous people or influencers or whatever, because it seems these days everybody's on the bandwagon. I will say probably one of the more original sort of mainstream bubbling up of this is the movie The Secret. If you haven't seen that, I think it's from the early 2000s. Maybe, don't quote me on that. I feel like that's when I discovered it. It could have been late 90s even. But it's a great movie. It's free everywhere. So if you have a streaming service, I'm pretty sure it's probably there. I don't subscribe to those, but you can certainly find it for free on the internet anyway. If you're familiar with Esther Hicks or Abraham Hicks, she sort of got her start or her claim to fame with The Secret. Bob Proctor's also in The Secret. He was more well-known when The Secret began, but he also, became more famous from that movie. There's lots of faces in there, and so many afterwards, so many stars, call their claim to fame also, with The Secret, or using the law of attraction, right? Envisioning positive solutions, positive thinking, manifesting, right? From people like Oprah, Tony Robbins, the comedian, oh my gosh, Ace Ventura, I can't even think of his name right now, his real life name. Jim Carrey, that's the guy. They all came out, over the years and have said, yes, I do this, I did this, this is how I got where I am, So it's no, it's no surprise that regular everyday people, they see that and they think, oh my God, I know what I want. Let me get what I want. Oh, if it's that easy, they make it seem so easy. And I will say that it is easy and it is difficult. It's a double-edged sword. It's a tightrope walk, right? And I pointed this out in previous episodes and in a lot of my videos, right, about energetic working and intention alignment. It's a lot more difficult to do in real life, in real time, than it is to talk about it or to watch somebody do it, right? Just like a tightrope walk, right? You see somebody walking on a tightrope walk, and they look a little off balance, they look a little checking themselves, but at the same time, they look pretty easy. It's pretty, with ease, they make it across there, right? And you think, oh, I could do that. The mainstream, the media, whoever you want to say, the negative agenda, they really, really play off of that, allowing the masses to watch the walker and to see how they almost struggle with it, but at the same time it's very easy, and they get right across, right? And they are very quick to say, hey, down in the audience, who'd like to try? Come on up, It's easy. Look at how quick it was. Just think positive, and you'll get right across, And then when somebody comes up and they try and they fall right away, they're like, oh, you didn't think hard enough, or you're not good enough. And the blame gets put on the person and the workings. And this is an intentional diversion tactic Because what is not being told and shown is the 10 or 20 years of training and practice that walker, that tightrope walker did and dedicated themselves to day in and day out, working, practicing, doing, visionary workings and inside their own head, practicing, for decades. And they still wobbled across with ease. But the mainstream doesn't want anybody to know about that 10 or 20 years of workings. They really don't. They just put quick blame and they say, oh, look, she fell. Oh, it doesn't work. Oh, it only works for people who are, positive and good people. You must be bad. You're terrible. You can't think for yourself. Here, let me tell you how to do it. Right? Now, for the law of attraction specifically, the tightrope walk is getting what you want. It's manifesting success. It's getting those desired outcomes, right? And when we see others, getting what they want and their desired outcomes coming to them, or their projects coming to fruition, success building around them, right? We tend to seek the same thing, but in an instant way, we don't want to put the work in generally. We don't want to hear about the 20 prototypes that broke before their one invention that, got them their claim to fame. We don't want to hear about the 500 rejection letters J.K. Rowling or C.S. Lewis or whoever, one of your famous writers received before they got, Harry Potter to come out, That in itself, that sort of brushing under the rug of the true workings is where they get us. It's the real trick. And so if we could just not allow that to happen, and if when we see, success, when we see others manifesting things, that we realize, wow, they've done a lot of work. They deserve that, what they're getting. That creates a gratitude working in your energetic field, right? Because the way we incorporate the reflections that we see out in our world, our direct and exterior world, right? Our perspective of those and perceptions create and amplify our energetic tone that's taking place in our own little field, in our own biofield, right? It's very important. The type of responses and reactions that energetically you're getting when you see or hear or take in new information or experiences, when we see others doing something. Your immediate energetic response speaks volumes about your inner workings. And so step one in, actually getting the law of attraction to work for yourself is first learning your energetic settings, your homeostasis, how your entanglements are working and fixing themselves, and how your service orientation is, how strong your self-worth, sovereignty is, right? What you're aligning with and what you're seeking energetically, right? All of those things are the foundation to ever even getting what you want. Because if you don't know who you are underneath it all, you don't understand these real nuances of why you want what you want, how you want it, how you're going to deal with it when you get it, what you could do if you don't get it, what that means. All of those things need to be hashed out before you're starting to try to align and bring things into your world. But people really don't want to put the work in, until, unfortunately, you've been called up to do the walk, right? Until you get right up to do the tightrope walk, and you're like, oh, shit, I didn't do any practicing. I don't know what I'm doing up here, right? I don't even know who I am. You get thrown into it. And then you don't get your desired outcome, and it's a self-fulfilling negative prophecy, because then you're falling back down, you think you're not good enough, you didn't do the work. It becomes a whole spiraling of negativity, right? An inward spiraling of negativity. And that's really what the negative agenda is hoping and harnessing with this whole show. So if instead you don't get wrapped up in the show of it and you learn the underlying truths, you will have a much easier time shaping your own practice, doing your energetic work, and then really aligning with things that you want in your world. Like I said, the true issues come when we don't do any of that, and then when we say, I want a brand new car, I want this red Mazda 2015, whatever, the one you saw at the car lot, the specific car that you saw, and you just thinking about it, putting a picture up on, a vision board and staring at it for 5 minutes every day is going to bring that car to you. Now, underneath that all, you might have energetic entanglements happening in there with shadow aspects of yourself that don't like that car, that don't want that car, that feel like you don't deserve it for some kind of reason, right? And those things are really going to interfere, and they're really going to cause malalignments with whatever you're trying to manifest. So, it's not that the workings and that the instructions and the ideas that are being given to us in the mainstream of the law of attraction don't work. They certainly do, and they're great practice points. But the underlying truth here is that you have to take them as templates into your true individual world and actually do energetic working for yourself to sort through these things and define them and organize them in there for yourself. And do a lot of shadow work, because your shadow also is trying to manifest things. Your shadow also understands the workings of the law of attraction and manifestation, and the shadow wants to grow in a safe, secure, really slow way. That's not going to get itself caught, but it does, and it always does. It's always seeking more. And unfortunately, that comes from the great lie of the original shadow, that, it's denying its one truth. It's not eternal and limitless. It is not connected to source. That's the initial lie of the one truth. And so immediately you become limited. You're not forever. You have to hoard and store and save and get more from others to keep it going, because there's a limited amount out there. In our shadows, all of us, no matter how enlightened you are, how much you can really resonate with real truth, how much that isn't true, we have these hidden shadow aspects of ourselves. We live in duality. We are human beings. You are here in this plane and space, underneath the parameters of third and fourth densities in the third dimension, right? And so you're playing the rules. You're in the fun house. No matter where you think you come from, or where you've been before, or whatever your lineage is, or whatever the purpose that you think that you've come here for, the rules are overlaid, installed right onto you by being born here. And so the more that we accept that, and you're always sort of on the lookout for what kind of manifesting your shadow's doing, how strong it might be, does it need work in there, does it need help? That clearing is really the energetic hygiene you have to keep up with in order to even manifest correctly and to really get that law of attraction kind of thing happening in your world. If you don't, then you're going to get false hits, false desires, things that you really don't want, and when you get them, you realize, that's not enough, or I need this now, or why did I even want that now? It doesn't even fill me, or it doesn't work out. It just doesn't happen. It falls apart. It leads to problems, These are the hiccups and the obstacles, the catalysts that we create, or actually we amplify them, right? We give them more power, and they can really grow and spread into more occasions of negativity when we're trying to push the law of attraction or energetic work in some kind of way. And especially when we try to push in gear into a positive way, because it's literally the opposite of what you're intending to do. And with that, this comes huge blockages because of all of the mind control, of all of the brainwashing and social etiquettes and these like traditions and cultures that have really been forced upon all of us right from the get-go, right? And so a lot of times we have to sort of go back now, and not only do you have inner work to do for foundational workings, but you have all these like layers that you've applied upon the ground level that are false and that have a lot of entanglements, negativity, pain, hurt, and stuff all piled up on top of each other, that now you've got to dig through and sort through and peel back and get under and dig around in before you could even get to the real underlying true you for that foundational energy work. Your light work, shadow work cycles. Clean them up, get them going really well so that you have the momentum to project out into the external world and call to you the things that align with that real working in there. So, yeah, I guess it's been a little overtime. I usually like to try to do, 15-minute videos here. So if the law of attraction is exciting to you, if it sounds like something wonderful, it really is. And I don't want to deter excitement or, anything around this phrase. I don't mean to bash it down. It is totally real. It is a functioning working within our universe. But it's important to realize that when you're trying to be tricked with instant gratification, scrolling, clicking, liking, versus actually doing the deep work, right? Actually diving into yourself and sorting through intention and emotions, right? So thank you so much for joining me on this episode here, number 21 on the law of attraction. Definitely go and check out more about it, or if you have already seen a lot about it and, you clicked on this because it's not working for you or you're feeling hiccups or whatever, dive inside, do some shadow work, do some light work, go and find yourself some more, because when things are not panning out the way that we've envisioned or the way that we desire, it really, instead of being a blame game in the exterior, we should really go internally and start doing sorting in there to figure out where it is that you're not exactly aligning with those things, and go through your reactions and responses, investigate them, and ask yourself, why is this such a disappointment that I didn't get this? Why am I feeling so hurt and unworthy because I didn't make this happen? Why do I feel like this situation is an absolute reflection of the worth of my being? These kind of things where we're getting wrapped up in external things, and allowing them to portray or reflect into our inner world like an end-all be-all, that's a major hiccup or a knot in your line you're trying to send out fishing here, like law of attraction, right? So check your gear, check yourself, do all the work, do the practice, and as much as we wish that it was instantaneous, as much as instant gratification does feel good, there is only so much weight that a thin layer of ice can take, right? And it's important to remember that it's one thing to know that we're on this thin layer of ice and to want to be a beautiful ice skater, right? and to spend time working on your twirls and your costume and your skating and all of that. But if you forget that that ice can crack at any moment and there's an ocean underneath you that you're going to fall into, you don't ever take the time to learn to swim first. You know, it doesn't matter how pretty of an ice skater you are, how many, twirls and stops you could do, or how pretty your costume is, right? If you can't swim and the ice breaks. So please do energetic working, do shadow work, do introspective searching and seeking. Find who you are and what it is that you truly desire and why you're desiring that, right? Look for purposes and seek your real intention, your orientation, right? Are you seeking to serve yourself and embetter the one that is you for self-seeking reasons? Or are you out there seeking positive service to others and out there trying to spread your light and heal others as you heal yourself, right? Choosing an alignment and a polarity, no matter what it is, will also really amplify your connection to the law of one. I mean, excuse me, the law of attraction. Of course, right here at the end I have to misspeak. And I don't have editing software or anything like that, so I really try to do these in one take. So I'm just going to leave it there with my little slip up there. But if you've never heard of the Law of One, go check out that as well, because that can really, really help with energetic alignments and getting you to understand service orientation and stuff. So if you've listened to this whole video about the Law of Attraction, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you'll tune in next time for another episode of Comprehending Consciousness, where I'm going to talk about abundance. And in the meantime, you could always find me on Telegram at t.me, Amarie Speaks, or you can find me directly on my website, amariespeaks.com, where I am always talking about all things introspection, spirituality, and happiness. I hope you have a beautiful day wherever in the world you are, and catch you next time.